ResortLoop.com is proud to be sponsored by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Joffrey's now offers coffee subscriptions. You can order a 3, 6, or 12-month subscription. You can choose from 3 collections, the Flavored Coffee Collection, the Roastmasters Collection, or the Disney Signature Coffee Collection. Each collection includes 3 bags per month. With the Joffrey's Coffee subscriptions, never run out of great coffee again. Learn more and order at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
We are now passing through the Transportation and Ticket Center on our way to the Polynesian Village Resort Hotel. If you'd like to return to the Transportation and Ticket Center, you may do so by boarding an express monorail at the Magic Kingdom station.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us once again. This is the gateway to the magic, ResortLoop.com. This is exciting. This is actually part 2 of the DC Roundtable for August 2020. Joining me, for some reason, we lost Rebecca Toon. She wasn't able to join us for this part of the show. And we think we have Joe, but we also have Mr. Brad Coates.
Hey, everybody.
And Emily Hicks. Hi, Emily.
Well, hello there, everyone.
I now know who the hardcore Resort Loop DVC Roundtable people are.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Or the ones who have no life.
Well, then
I've
there's
been
that.
called hardcore a lot. Just kidding.
So we did a lot of chit-chatting in the last show, which I thought was fantastic. I just loved how that seemed to flow. But we never got to the news. So we're going to get to the news for August. For all of you DVC fans out there, whether you're a renter or a purchaser. And Emily, why don't you start us off with the first story?
All right, because I always get the boring news. This time,
but you make it live.
I want to get... You're so sweet. Shout out to Jeremy, my coworker, who did not mock me when he heard my tax summary last time.
He probably loved it.
But you know what? Yeah, anybody who works with me regularly has to love that. I want to talk rumors. I want to get crazy and unsubstantiated, guys. This time, let's go off book. Okay, but there are rampant rumors that the new DVC owners who wish to have access to the full slate of the DVC perks will have to purchase, get this, guys, 125 DVC points directly from DVC to get the membership extras.
Ooh.
Now, let's be clear. This is the new owners. So probably, as usual, they're going to grandfather the old folks in, like myself. And we came in when I think there were resale restrictions, but they started at 50 points or 75 points. And we have 110 points direct. So we would be not eligible under this new rumor regime, but we would be sort of grandfathered in. So if you're listening to this and you're a DVC member and you only have 50 or 100 or whatever, and you have been skating through there with your direct points, and obviously you have more resale, because who's going to do anything with less than 125, right? But yeah, so if you are one of those folks, right, don't worry, don't get panicked. But if they do increase them, according to this rumor, this would be in contrast to the current 100-point threshold for the eligibility. Some of those extras we're talking about are the 20% membership discounts, the access to the DVC member lounges, and the Moonlight Magic events, which are so fun. The restrictions started in April 2016, which I believe was after we purchased our first contract. So I think we purchased in 2013. So for access to those perks, initially only some of those, some number was required. Then in 2018, and I'm pretty sure it was 50. In February 20, was it? Okay.
Yeah,
February
2018. Because I have my second contract, which I bought resale, Animal Kingdom, was 50 points. I have a blue card for that one, as well as a blue card for my Saratoga bought direct. So, yeah, it was 50 points.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I probably have. We bought our Saratoga resale in 2013, so we would have that probably actually qualified too. I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Clever. I'm glad you mentioned that, Brad. So then in February 2018, it bumped up to 75 point minimum, and then 100 in September 2019, which makes sense because I forgot that it had bumped up to 100. So existing owners have been, as I mentioned, previously grandfathered into each status with the policy changes. So don't panic. It's just a rumor, but we do kind of know that Disney floats rumors to see how things are going to go.
Right.
Sometimes. So don't, it's a rumor, but keep in mind that these membership extras are completely extra and they're not part of your contract. And you're not entitled to them, the discounts or anything like that. You're really just entitled to the use of your points within the parameters of the contract that you signed. So that's what you got. So don't get too upset. But I will say that those extras really do make the trip special. And they do, as we've talked about, make the DVC experience unique and a little bit kind of worth the huge investment if you're a regular anyway.
Yeah,
so,
I would... Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, and I can't. We'd have to talk to our official Resort Loop legal department. That would probably be you, Emily.
Right.
Unqualified.
I don't see how they could change. When we bought ours that were grandfathered in, they're always going to be grandfathered in because they'd have to change the contract that we originally signed, which gave us access to those things, I think. Now, they can always take away perks, but they can't. I don't think they can take away perks from one group of people and not somebody else later because of when they purchased their contract.
So I think that they can take away the points. I think that they can't do it arbitrarily to say you and not me.
Yes,
but
correct. They have to do everybody.
Right. But that would be, just a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I think generally speaking, they could take it away for a certain, they did in fact take it away. Well, retroactively, you're right. I think it would be really tricky, but I will say in the contract, it is very clear that you do not get perks as part of the contract. Those are just
correct.
A present.
Yeah.
Those are a present for Disney.
So perks themselves can always be removed, but I think they would have a real tough time removing from one person because what we saw back in 2013, you bought, aftermarket. So we're taking them away from you, but we're not taking away from the other person into that. They wouldn't. I don't think they could arbitrarily just start it. But going forward, and that's what this is about. Just like they've already done, they did it at 50. And then nobody could get it if you didn't buy 50. Then it was 75. They bumped it up to 75 actually, and then the 100. And now they're going to do 125. So, but it basically means now if you buy a resale contract, moving forward, you have to have 125 points. You have to have 125. I'm sorry, not resale.
Rumor though.
Yeah, yes. Rumored. If this is true, then you'd have from now on you'd have to do 125. So.
Right.
Anyway, we'll see. I makes sense because it's just one more step up.
Right. And not to belabor the point, but I do think they could do it. I just think that purchasers would have a claim against DVC for their direct purchases, believing that they were in some way. It's a tenuous claim, but
yeah.
I could defend against it, but you could say that you were relying on the fact that you had to buy this many points to get the benefits, and you bought this many points, and now they're taking those away, even though the contract is very clear that you're not entitled to anything, period. Mm-hmm. But I think you were right that it would be tricky for them to navigate those claims because, in essence, people are purchasing sometimes at a certain level because of their desire to get the direct access.
And how many thousands of contracts could get it that way? Because that happens a lot. Why do you think most DVC owners own more than one contract? Because we all went into it thinking, well, this will be enough. And it was never enough.
I'll just get enough for a studio for a weekend.
Exactly. Well, I'll never need more. That's the thing about DVC. It'll never cost more. Well, it costs more now for the week I want to go. So I got to buy more points. So, yeah. So there's a lot of people out there that bought contracts and said, well, I only need to get X amount to do this. And so, like you said, they could try it and they might win the litigation, but there would be a lot of litigation.
Right.
Right.
So,
and to be clear, disclaimer, that is not my legal opinion, just my personal opinion. I'm not licensed in Florida. This does not represent any kind of advice to anyone.
This is for entertainment only.
And
Right.
so we have it on record. I was joking when I said Resort Loop's legal department.
Right.
We don't have one.
I have not.
We're not
I
a
mean,
legal
I'm available.
Good to
I'm
know.
available, but I have not been contracted.
There you go.
Tim will send you the documents after the show.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right. And I'm just curious because I was trying to find out, does anybody know what the average initial buy-in when somebody's buying direct from Disney? Like how many points is the average that somebody would purchase?
It used to be 160.
Okay.
Yeah.
That used to be, and theoretically they've tried to keep the point values. The point values sort of have to remain somewhat constant per resort, I think, because they can't add or reduce the point values of the resorts. So you're not going to get into a situation where you purchase, like Brad was talking about, you might get into a situation where they reallocate the points, but they're never going to require more points for a year's stay than they already did. It's just going to be shuffled around based on demand, probably. So
Okay.
like when they change weekends to be more expensive. So anyway, I think it's 160 or it was.
And that's what I had heard. That was what most people were buying at, was the average was 160. So
So the average
I
is
would
still
think
well above
more
the
people are
125.
pushing towards 200 now, though. I don't know. What's
okay.
in?
I was just going to say, so the average is still higher than the minimum to qualify for the all the extras. Interesting.
Yeah, I would think so.
So they must have quite a few people maybe trying to get in the low ball.
Well, you figure a lot of, people are looking to purchase at a specific time of year for a week stay, generally speaking, at their favorite resort, whatever.
Resort of choice, yep.
Yeah, and so usually when you're trying to figure that out, the way they sort of coach you through it, or the way other people will coach you through it, if you go to any of the websites where people talk about, what you're gonna, how you should approach the purchase, they'll tell you, figure out where you want to stay, figure out what time of year you think you're going to typically stay, and then you should look at the point charts, figure out how much that is, add some slush in there, kind of like how they do with the fixed week, where they have you get 20% more by 20. I think it's 20% more than the current cost of the week, kind of to guarantee that allocation shift. And so that's a great way to sort of ballpark how many points you need, because maybe you're just really going to stay. Maybe you are like a childless couple and you don't intend to have children at any point, and you just want to come down for like race weekends or something, and you're always going to stay in a studio, and you're always going to come off season per se for like for like wine and dine, but in say October, but before the rush comes for Halloween, whatever, September. So anyway, you can figure out what time of year you typically travel, especially if you're a Disney frequenter. You can just kind of like look at those calendars. I think there's a couple of rental sites that have point calendars associated with the actual calendar. You just plug in your dates and it'll tell you how many points
it out
you need.
for you.
Yeah. And
Nice.
by the way, though, if you do expect to have a family and you think you're going to start off with this much, or hey, you don't even need a family. If you have friends, you think you're going to start off with this much, and then you just get more friends once you're a DVC member. And
Yeah,
There you go.
get popular.
You might listen to a
next thing you
podcast.
know, everybody wants to come stay with you. Or you have a bunch of little children that you suddenly want to be in a separate room from you. So I would advise you, if you think that's going to happen, which it will to you, get more points than you need, but just do it the way we all did. Buy what you need right now and then add on infinitely.
I think there's two other things that end up happening too, that invariably makes you look at your point. Tim, when you ask that, it's tricky because then one of by the way, the guides too, the DVC guides will say the same things, Emily, that you just said. They'll walk you right through it. The tricky part is that they'll also include, if a client's saying, well, I really don't think I can afford that many points, then they say, well, another way to approach this is get enough points so that every other year,
Yes.
so you can bank your points and you'll have 2. Or if you really wanted to stretch it, you could borrow and bank and get 3 years worth. So do a smaller contract that you can afford, and then just go every third year or every second year. And then invariably they want to go more, so they need more points. Or like my family, we looked at the studios, and we're a family of 4, and we were fine in studios when my kids were little.
Mm-hmm.
Then I gave them a taste of a 1-bedroom. And
It's all over.
Good luck going back.
Right.
It's just like especially now, they're 21, 24. Well, the other ones are married now. So now I got to look at it differently for next June when I'm taking my new son and my two daughters. My son in love, as my wife calls him.
Oh,
So now we got to look at it differently. So it's got to be bigger. So, yeah. Be ready to buy more points.
there you go.
That's the answer to all of it.
Wow.
That is
No
a
matter
really
what
good
you
point.
buy.
That is a really good point, Brad, because I will say we were told the same thing, like you can bank, borrow, whatever, and then you could go every 2 years, every 3 years. Let's be honest, guys. Like, if you think you're going to go every year, plan on going every 2 years twice a year once you're a DVC member, because it gets harder and harder to stay away. Like, my husband honestly thinks we could just go whenever we want because I manage our points. So he's just like,
Because
why
we
not
own a
just go to
house
Disney?
there, right?
Right, like,
Dad, we have a house there, don't we?
Available, right?
Well,
And I want to be like, I've already
right.
borrowed us 2 years in advance. I got a waiver. Just kidding, I didn't. But you know what I mean? Like you get to a place where you are definitely spending those points, and people want to come with you, and you want to go often. Like, the more you go, the more you want to go back. So
That's true. That's true.
you know what though? Now for something completely different. Let's hear from Joe.
I think I failed to introduce Joe. Joe, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Tim, how's it going tonight?
Oh, it's going fantastic. This isn't corny at all.
Been real quiet.
He's been very quiet, much quieter than usual. But Joe, you actually have our second story for the day. Hit us with the news.
So for tonight's second story, DVC owners and annual pass holders, again, will have an early opportunity to book Run Disney events planned for April of 2021, barring no other ones are canceled. Fingers crossed. Early registration for the 2021 Star Wars Rival Run began on Thursday, August 6th. For DVC owners and annual pass holders, the event is currently scheduled for the April 15th through 18th, 2021 weekend at the Walt Disney World Resort. The races include the Star Wars Rival Run 5K, the Star Wars Rival Run 10K, the Star Wars Rival Run Half Marathon, and the Star Wars Rival Run Challenge. Also, we'll have the Run Disney Kessel Run Challenge, Run Disney Kids Dash races, and the Run Disney Kids 1 mile run. Say that 3 times fast.
I won't.
Prices may vary. DVC members and pass holders can register beginning at 10 a.m. on August 6th, which at the time of this is way past its deadline. The advanced registration capacity is very limited. Advanced registration links will be published on the pass holder site and on the DVC member website, and reservations to the public opens on Tuesday, August 11th, which was my birthday. Happy birthday to me. And as of this recording on August 28th, the only events that are currently open right now to anybody is the Star Wars Rival Run 5K, the Run Disney Kessel Run Challenge, which is the Rival Run Half and Virtual Half. Everything else, the Rival Run 10K, Rival Run Half Marathon, Rival Run Challenge, the Kessel Run Challenge, the Kids Dashes, and the 1 mile run appear to all be sold out at this time. So right now, fingers crossed, everything as of 2021 is still on track. I'm currently scheduled for Walt Disney World Marathon weekend, running the half in January, the Princess half in February. So hopefully those will go off, barring any setbacks. And right now they're planning for Star Wars Run Disney weekend at Walt Disney World to go off as well in April. So April 15th to 18th, 2021.
Joe, thank you very much. Lots of information
I
there.
love it.
Oh, how could you not?
Yep.
Seriously.
And I just looked at the Star Wars Rival Run weekend, and the only thing not sold out is the 5K and the Kessel Run Challenge. So,
Yes. I was hoping to sign my kids up for the kids runs in hopes that they would convert it to virtual and that we could do that.
Oh.
Speaking of,
yeah.
good. Thanks for bringing that up, Joe. My kids, shout out to Gabby, who has achieved her virtual challenge. She has all of the medals associated, the teacup medal, the Madame Leota one, and the Space Mountain. And then the cool challenge medal is one of those old school tickets with the like A, B, C, D, E. So she is so proud. So way to go, Gabby.
Yay, Gabby.
And then, Romy and Ladder right behind her with they've done 2 of the 5Ks. I, however, have only done one of the 5Ks. So my husband also has earned the challenge probably 5 times over this summer. But yeah, so if you guys are out there, Resort Loop Rocketeers, if you are out there and are you doing those virtual challenges, please post your pictures. We're super excited to be out there with you. It's a really fun way to keep it in. I mean, leave it to Disney to figure out how to keep us like sending them cash during a pandemic. And honestly, I just want to say to them, make more, do more of them, do more kids races, things like that, because it is a really fun way to motivate the kids to stay active and to be goal oriented in a time that sort of feels like a treadmill, you know?
Right. Get everybody outside.
Right. Oh. So I love it. Thanks, Joe, for that story.
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate it.
Emily, you're also going to...
go ahead. I've done 2 of those virtual series in the past, and things have just been so nuts this year that I didn't pay attention to this one. I'm looking at these medals, and I am sick to my stomach. Your daughter is making me very, very jealous. Oh, my gosh. These are awesome.
Did she register? Oh, the Virgin. I know. They're really great. I love the Madame Leota one, which I have not. Yeah. Honestly, the only one I don't care the teacups one is I don't care that much about, and that's of course the only one I've earned so far. So, I guess I have to put my shoes on.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd like all of those. Those are pretty cool.
They are.
Those virtual runs are cool. The only problem is, you said it. The tricky thing is they almost always send you the medals before you run the races.
Right.
So, but I told my wife, I said, we're still, because we did it because we were training for our first half. The first time I said, this is part of our training run. So we still got to make sure we do everything they ask for. So it was easy to do them, but that looks cool. Congratulations, Gabby. That's awesome.
That is fantastic.
Get inspired, Mom. You need to get all
Will
those
do. Will do. I actually have to still earn my Star Wars hat from this spring. So I think that's a Chewbacca medal, but I won't let myself look at it till I earn it.
That's right.
Oh, there you go.
You know, somehow my Fitbit still logs a lot of steps between keeping the house in order and working and everything. You know, still, I think that should count for something, but it
absolutely,
doesn't, of course.
Chasing 3 kids, don't forget that.
Right. Well, okay, so we've been too interesting for far too long. Let me tell you some of the nitty gritty. We have talked many times about the Reflections Resort and Spa.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it looks like the references to that have been removed from the D23 website and the other online offerings. So, as you know, the 2019 D23 Expo, they released the new details, the concept art, the Reflections, the Lakeside Lodge, which we've talked about ad nauseum, or not really. You guys all loved it, don't lie. But
no,
all the Reflection stuff is gone
Yay.
from the D23 website. So yeah, if you didn't love Reflections, who knows? Maybe they're reworking it.
Yes.
So it would have been the 16th DVC resort with expected opening of 2022, but due to the slowing of DVC sales and vacation travel in general, along with $2 billion in losses for Walt Disney World or Walt Disney Company, although their stock price is up right now, it does look like Reflections has been either put on hold or canceled. So this is contrasted, though, to the Disneyland experience, where the DVC is moving forward with the new resort on the grounds of Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, they're showing lots of more info on it all the time, and so
right.
Well, it Disneyland like, one. Yep.
It makes sense if they're still having sales in Disney World. They probably don't want to add capacity before their heads and beds are not in the right ratio. So makes sense. But
we didn't mention it in the beginning. I actually am sitting in a hotel room halfway home. I flew in from Orlando yesterday. I was delayed by a hurricane, but so I just came back from a stay at Disney World, and I could tell you there's plenty of rooms. The resorts there was availability, so it almost. And I actually did, because I had some time to kill before my Magical Express, and I was staying at Riviera. So I went down to the DVC desk and said, "Give me a tour." So I took a tour, and while we were in one of the rooms, I asked the tour guide, "So what's the story about Reflections?"
Ooh.
And there was this sound of crickets. It was beautiful. It sounded like the bayou. It was kind of quiet,
right.
serene. In other words, he wasn't going to say yay or nay or give me any sense of it. Or nope, didn't. Just moved on to a different topic, and I don't really know anything about that resort, but I know about Riviera. Let's go look at the 3-bed, the Grand Villa. By the way, Grand Villa, I could live there.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, did you get to see one?
Yes, 2,500 square feet. Oh my gosh! I'm like, this is twice as big as my house. Not
my gosh,
twice as big, but it's bigger than my house. I was like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah. I got to see it. It was pretty cool.
I don't remember if I mentioned this after we stayed at the Riviera in January, because I think we did talk about it afterwards. But they had this really cool art scavenger hunt kind of thing that you could get out sort of by the pool, kind of behind, like between the pool and the little green area. I forget what it's called now.
By the family pool or by
the family pool? Yes. Between that and then
where the slide
sort of, yeah, you're kind of walking out towards, but sort of more like by the bocce courts, so you're on the green. They have like a little stand where you can pick up this sticker scavenger hunt where you can look for these different pieces of artwork all over the property, which is a great way to sell artwork, which is available in their gift shop. Prints are, but it's also it's kind of a fun activity. But now that I think about it, like I would have loved to take a tour. I just wanted to highlight that as a potential activity if you do stay at Riviera, because that was kind of a fun little way to see the resort.
Yeah. I didn't see that. But I had one of the guys that had stayed there that I was there. Shout out to Chad Pinnica from My DVC Points. He had stayed there before, but he said one of the workers had taken him around on a tour of all of the. Did that artwork include a bunch of the stuff that's like Walt Disney's artifacts?
I believe so.
They've got plates and stuff in there. There's all Walt stuff in displays and stuff. It was really cool, but I didn't have time to get somebody to take around and describe everything. But
I'll have to find a little. I have to find a sheet. I know it had little stickers. I just remember that part.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I wish I'd have stayed there longer. I'll try it next time.
It is really gorgeous.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like the Reflections announcement was kind of greeted with a thud by everybody. Like nobody was really that awfully excited about it.
Well, I mean, I still want to go to Copper Creek. So unless they can outdo Copper Creek, I want a cabin specifically. To be clear, in case anybody's unaware how I roll, I want a cabin.
No, we know how you roll.
Me too. Well, don't you think with Reflections too? It was so early. I mean, even the artwork they put out was so vague, so nondescript.
Yes.
Right.
Really. And so it was just like, I was excited, but I was guardedly excited. I wanted to see more before I could really get excited. And it fizzled. It was that, it's that firework at 4th of July. You light it, you get ready, you get excited, and it never goes off.
I was excited about the location, but I was also concerned like if it would mess up the Fort Wilderness vibe at all, being that close to there. So.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they did just open, like the most recent DVC was right there. Right. Oh no, Riviera, I'm sorry. But like Copper Creek is pretty darn recent.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, let's see. Brad.
Riviera is kind of its own beast. So continuing with the not so exciting news. Says on my notes, bad news, Brad.
Yes. I believe you were given that
I don't
by
know
Rebecca.
if that was a reflection of my personality or how you feel about me, Tim. But
No. It was just some bad news.
Boring news, Emily.
Oh.
Well, as I remember when we were setting this up, it says Brad always gets to tell the fun stuff. Because he's so happy. We're gonna let him tell the bad news. So I'm here to make bad news sound good.
There you go. Put a positive spin on it.
Woohoo! I'm so excited. So Disney Vacation Club, just kind of like Reflections. We're waiting for that last shoe to drop. It's not going to shock any of us. We're not going to be shocked that 125 points are going to be required. We're all waiting for it to happen. And I think most of us with DVC were expecting this. They did reveal that the final Moonlight Magic events that were scheduled for 2020 were officially canceled. So they were still holding on. There was one at Disney Hollywood Studios that had not said they were canceled while everything else had. And so some people were going, well, I'm holding on, maybe it'll happen. Well, they'd already announced that because it was when was it? I think September or October. And they'd already announced they weren't going to do the Halloween parties. So I'm thinking they're not going to do this either. They're going to cancel. But anyway, they did announce it, made it official. The last of the Moonlight Magic events have been canceled. So that makes 3 of them. The September 15th, 22nd, and October 6th will all have now been canceled. And so basically, we're not going to see anything until 2021. They haven't announced any new ones. But Emily, you have been to one of those. You said it was really good.
Yes, it was absolutely good.
Have you been to one?
Yeah, we did have to leave early.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Crowds were super low.
It was a great crowds were low. It was free. It was a credible experience. And we didn't have one scheduled this year, but we did have the Halloween party scheduled for October, and that got canceled. But so I don't think did it shock you, Emily, that they canceled the last ones? I think we all kind of were waiting for it to happen.
I mean, yeah, it seems like they probably didn't have much of a choice. It seems, like where staffing is where it is, and attendance is where it is, and their ability.
It didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame them, since I can't blame anybody for canceling anything right now, honestly.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's probably, it's unfortunate for anybody who was counting on it for their trip, but honestly, anybody who is counting on anything for a trip right now is already probably feeling a little bit disappointed. Yeah. So, yeah. And that is also, guys, why you should not rely on membership perks for your purchase. So,
there you go.
Keep in mind. Keep in mind if you're purchasing. Yeah.
Just go to have a good time, and don't go with it. Even if it's a DVC perks, if it's something else, just go and flow with it. You're going to have a blast. I had a great time last week, but it is what it is. Well, so that made 9 total events that canceled, which I don't think shocked us.
No.
As I just mentioned, they did announce that they're not doing any of the Halloween parties, and basically, I know a lot of people are asking, well, why couldn't they do that, after hours? And, why is that, doable? Well, you nailed it, Emily. Part of it is staffing. I did notice that while the cast members were friendly and great, I got to be honest with you, there was a lot of cast members there as well that I don't think have been through Legacy. I don't think they've been. I would ask them questions, and they would just look at me like I was, deer in the headlights. They had no idea. And it was simple stuff. I'm like, "Where is the relaxation station?" And they go, "The train station is over." It's like, okay,
wow.
So, but they were friendly. But I think there was some subs that got in there real quick and extra.
I was going to say, I think what I've heard. And I could be wrong. I thought Joe said this, but maybe I heard it somewhere else. I think that what's happening is a lot of the cast that is there is being deployed in places that they aren't typically deployed, because
that's true too. Yep.
They're keeping their most senior people and trying to keep them on, if you will, and they're not. So basically, people are probably working parks they're not familiar with because they're moved over from areas that they used to work in.
That's definitely part of it too. You're right. Yeah.
So
and the other reason they're not doing.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if their service is great, but their information isn't super, that it makes me think that they are great Disney employees, but this is a new role.
Right, and they're kind of learning on the job some of the details.
Right.
I will say, when Joe mentioned the whole thing, that he had a great, cast member experience that was phenomenal the whole time, it kind of reminded me of, you ever been to your local fast food restaurant for like breakfast and then dinner? Like the breakfast, at least around for me, is usually a much better, quicker experience because you have all the older employees in there working.
Ah.
And then when you get in there for like, late lunch and dinner, when they get maybe the kids getting off, going into work, sometimes it's not quite as efficient as it seems to be in the morning. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know what you were saying, old man.
Just
What's that?
I also heard somebody else
wow.
That made sense.
I'm teasing, but I am standing up for the.
I'm the oldest one here, so don't take it personally.
No. I'm just saying, it's just,
I would say that I heard somebody else talking about saying, it's one thing when you have, 18,000 people in the park and cast members are a lot more stressed and maybe they're not as friendly. now when there's 4,000 in the park, they have more time to be friendly. They'll just come up and talk to you.
That's a good point.
Talking about riding rides, they're just talking. And so but anyway, that's part of it. Also, another reason I think, obviously, there's no Halloween party because there's no nighttime fireworks, and that's a big part of Halloween. Is the fireworks and the candy, and all of that, and they're not going to be able to, effectively do anything where you can stand in one place. They have not canceled technically the Christmas parties yet, but anybody taking bets?
Yeah, I don't think it's looking good.
Yeah. We'll see based on vaccines, right?
Yeah, if our numbers in America. Yeah, it's all based on science.
Science.
As Nacho Libre would say, I believe in science. Okay. Anyway, so Tim,
yes,
that's the news.
I love it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the show. Unfortunately, Rebecca wanted to make sure we sent out her best. She was trying to be here, and she actually had a little got stuck in traffic, which happens.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Before we get to everything else, Joe, thanks for joining us from where you are at.
Find me on Twitter, Instagram at Joe Quat. You can also find me over at the Mickey Dudes podcast.
You could have said thank you. Man,
I was looking.
Joe, once again, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Joe Quat. You can also find me over at the Mickey Dudes podcast.
Thank you, Joe, very much.
You can find
no, they'll be quiet.
I just hate it when they don't obey you.
No,
so
I know.
You're in charge.
I'm the boss. I'm like Tony Danza. Or was it Angela? Somebody was the boss.
I just love interacting with you, Joe. It's just nice to have you here, just for you to be present.
Hey, Tim, how's it going tonight?
It's not robotic. It's natural.
No, oh my gosh. Oh, Emily, where can everybody find you?
You can find me just waiting for Tim's call to record an episode of the Resort Loop DVC Roundtable, and or putting off running my virtual half marathons.
There you go.
Or 5Ks.
Awesome. And Brad, where are you?
You can find me online planning my next trip because I can't wait to go back.
Oh.
And I guess Tim and I are going to be talking about that a little bit later. So, but you can find me on Papa Mouse 1 on Twitter. You can find me hanging out at Resort Loop Live and on the road tomorrow, heading home for my 14-day quarantine. Nice.
Brad is absolutely correct. We'll have him on a future show because I want to hear all about this trip. 2 DVC resorts, some park time.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I want to hear about the part where you get to spend 14 days by yourself. Can you talk about that a lot? I just want to think about it. I just want to talk about it, think about it, whatever.
Emily needs a quarantine.
Dream.
I love my family.
Dream Disney or 14 quiet days. I don't know which one sounds better right now.
There you go.
That's right.
Thanks, guys. I'm Tim Scott, Facebook, Twitter, the website, ResortLoop.com. If you're thinking of booking a trip, you can check us out over there at ResortLoopTravel.com. You've been listening to The Gateway to the Magic. Take us out, guys.
See ya, everybody.
Oh, my. Okay. Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoopTravelGroup.com.
It's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Shining at the end of every day.
Do you think anybody could tell that Joe was recorded? Do you think anybody could tell Joe was recorded, or is that pretty smooth? Thank you, Joe.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. It's not nice to interrupt, but thanks for joining us.
Yeah. I closed the stuff out or I'd play it.
You had it, Tim. You were right. You were to the finish line.
I was there. I closed it up a while ago. I would have to go here, and then I would have to go right there. Then I have to do...
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Joe Quat. You can also find me over at the Mickey Dudes podcast.
There you go. Oh, we went on to the next thing. How do I stop it? Oh, it's iTunes. That's not the Backstreet Boys, by the way.